Laura, I'm very, very happy that innovation kind of is Alcoa's middle name. The company is more than 120 years old, but the company was founded by a young man who invented the industrial process of making aluminum, right? So it started with this gigantic breakthrough, and he engaged in that as a young chemical student because he asked his professor, what do I have to do to become the richest man on this planet, right? Which is a good motivation by itself, right? So since that day, basically innovation has been our core, right? And interestingly, the innovation is around the process, and that continues to be the case, but it's also around the metal. And the good news is, because we are an integrated company, we can make use of a lot of those resources. So let me give you a couple of examples, right? And I think the core of this is in the product, in the aluminum, because the capabilities of this product continue to be as cool as they were when it was invented. I would say probably even cooler, because they enabled mankind to fulfill one of the biggest dreams that mankind ever had, to fly. I mean, all of us wouldn't be here, you know, if it hadn't been for aluminum. Good news is 85% of all planes have Alcoa alloys on it, right? So until today, and it will continue because of innovation. It's not the same aluminum that it once was, but it's an alloying process, and it gets better and better and better, right? We talked about lightweighting, which is the theme of today. We saw it before on the cars here. The big theme. I mean, we all want to reduce the energy and want to get more energy efficient. With aluminum, you can actually shave off pretty easily 10% of the total weight of the car, which gives you typically about 7% of energy efficiency right away, right? And actually, you can lift a whole chassis with one arm, even of a big SUV. That is the cool thing about this, right? Then you go on, and I was very pleased to see here the iPad being passed out, which I think is also a very cool product. Many of you may remember, and you'd say, well, what is so cool about the iPad? Well, there's a lot about the applications, but it's the form factor also, right? And you love to touch it, right? And then you say, wasn't it Bill Gates who invented the tablet? That's almost 10 years ago, and Jean-Pascal and I have been early users of this, and I think it never really made it to success. And the reason was the form factor. You know, here you have the iPad, and the iPad has more electronics in it than the tablet ever had. And you wonder, how's that possible, right? And the reason is because the whole back plane, the whole thing is embedded in aluminum. And the reason for that is, not only is it cool and you can touch it, but aluminum is conductive. Not just electricity conductive, but heat conductive. So the whole back acts like a heat sink. So you can get rid of a fan. The fan determined the form factor of the tablet. So that's a classical story of deep innovation. And when you look at today at the whole range of Apple products, they are all in aluminum. And the funny thing is, I mean, that's how innovation spreads. It originally started with a sustainability idea because of aluminum being recyclable. 75% of all aluminum ever produced on this planet, from 120 years ago to today, 75% is still in use today. I think only gold, according to my friends from Marden, can match that, and has a higher rate for good reasons, you know, and we're trying hard to match that. So 2 weeks ago, there was a consumer electronics show in Las Vegas, and interestingly enough, this is now a total trend. You actually can go around and see pretty much everybody tries to make it in aluminum because you also can slim it down. You have a nicer surface, the brightness of the color comes out, right? So you suddenly see it's stronger, it's scratch resistant, it acts like a heat sink, right? You go to another area. You go to the area of material, basically substitution, right? Material substitution, copper, right? On copper, there's another aspect that comes in. Copper today, I was looking at the recent statistics. There are almost no here. What's it called? Heavy, not high speed, high voltage. There's almost no high voltage copper cable anymore around these days. And the interesting thing is, those countries that built out their high voltage network latest, like China, almost have no copper in place anymore because copper prices have gone way through the roof and continue to go through the roof, right? Interestingly enough, conductivity-wise, aluminum compares very well with it, particularly when you put it into some alloying. Now, the good news is it's only 1/3 of the weight. So just imagine you have to build a cable, a long-distance cable over thousands of kilometers. It gives you not only the advantage of cost, but also that you can have a higher range of the poles, right? So suddenly you get a system advantage. And I could go on and on and on. I mean, you look into wheels, aluminum wheels which replace steel wheels, 45% weight savings, 5 times the strength of steel. And on top of it, we have invested in coating. So in reality, the coating is as such that when exposed even to ambient light, it's self-cleaning. So if you go out today and talk to any decent trucker in the US, particularly Europe is a little bit behind, talk to a decent trucker and ask them what they like most about their truck, they will point to the Alcoa aluminum wheels, because in truth of the matter, you can see those pictures, you see a rusty and painted steel wheel compared to a shiny self-cleaning aluminum wheel. Again, I could go on and on and on. So it's in the core of what we do, and it's for a variety of reasons, and that's why we call it basically our miracle metal. And we believe, last year we've seen a growth rate in our industry of demand by 13%. This year, this was part of the recovery story, right? This year we do continue to see 12%. We believe that until 2020, the demand will double. Now the question is, will there be enough supply for that, right? That's the big question, and that's where this country plays a tremendous role. I mean, in the deepest time of the crisis, in 2009, we agreed with Marden to sign the contract for one of the largest ever built integrated aluminum system. I don't even call it plant because it's a system. Starts with a mine, bauxite mine, then it has a refinery in Ras Azur, next to it a smelter, next to it a rolling mill, next to it a new port, a brand new railway, nicely located, close to the consumers. What more can you ask for? I can tell you what more you can ask for. You can ask for people coming in and now using this great aluminum and making all the great things out of it that I just described. And I can envision that this is going to happen, and we can use that as a real great foundation for building a fundamental manufacturing industry also here in country, right, which gives highly paid jobs and uses all the educational institutions that this country has been starting to invest in so well. That's why I'm excited.
Sounds